Hello and welcome to our Extended Disc webinar. My name is Christina Bowser. I'm the training director here at Extended Disc, and joining me today is my colleague Markku Kauppanen, president of Extended Disc.
Hello, Christina, and hello, everybody.
Hello, almost the end of summer.
Thank God.
As always, we will be recording this webinar, but as much as we encourage your live or your questions, we're not taking them live just because of the time that we are have for this webinar. So put them in the question section and I promise you we'll answer it after. So today's topic is helping new managers succeed. So as a new manager, you've got the right attitude, you've got the right skills and training.
I do.
You've even got a great mentor.
That's right.
But even so, DISC can help you become more effective as a manager by better understanding yourselves as well as your employees. So I can get this to progress. As a manager, you know, the most challenging, it's as a new manager, I should say, it's the most challenging and exciting transition in your career. You know, up until this point, you know, usually everything is about your own goals and your own responsibilities, but becoming a manager, your team success is critical to your own.
That's right.
So the primary challenge, Markku talks about this a lot, for any manager is the management of people.
Yeah, and when I think about this topic, I always think about kind of selflessly about myself and my career when I got out of college. So I had my MBA in finance, so I got into banking, and my first job was to be a branch manager, and I had about 20 employees. And I was really comfortable and excited and pumped up about doing the financial part, you know, managing the actual assets of the bank, but also looking at our clients, especially commercial customers, making loans for them, and that was really exciting. But I learned very quickly that it was really frustrating to be a manager because it's so much of my time was spent with many ways seem very trivial matters. And I was so frustrated because I felt I had this great education, but I could not remember any single class in the university that talked about how to really manage and lead people. So I was really at a loss, and it was frustrating. And then I started talking to colleagues, and most of them were older and more experienced. So I thought they would provide me some great advice, and they did. However, it seems, and now in retrospect, looking at it, each gave advice that was really in alignment with their natural behavioral styles. Those people who were D styles, they told me you just need to be direct, you move fast, you have to run it with the iron fist. And I style would say, you want to make sure your employees have a lot of fun, and also, and I didn't know what to do, and I spent a lot of time trying different approaches, and it was just really, really frustrating.
Right, and one of the great things that Extended Disc can help you understand is it can give you that kind of roadmap of where to start. I mean, you know, part of it is instead of, as you know from your own experience, instead of flailing, trying different avenues, if you have a starting point, if you know how you tend to do things, then you can make better decisions.
Yeah, looking back, if I had this kind of information available, my life would have been so much easier. Not worry-free. There would still be challenges, but at least I would have some kind of a roadmap and a model to what to use, how to modify my behavior. Because I really was just repeating the same behavior, my natural behavioral style. What worked for me should have worked well for my employees.
Exactly.
It did work with some employees, those who were very similar to my styles, but those who had different styles, it just didn't go anywhere.
Right, and Extended Disc does give you that information about how you prefer to lead. It doesn't lock you in. It does not predict your success, but it gives you, it explains why your natural style prefers to do certain things. So once you know that, you also take that next step to better understand how your employees are similar and different. Once you are able to identify that, then now you have, you can figure out how do I motivate certain employees better? What happens with conflict management? Sometimes with individuals, one person might just want to walk away and the other person might want to go full on into the conflict and get it, knocked out. So understanding that, being able to develop your employees, how critical is that? Retaining your employees, what do we say? Employees,
they quit the managers, not the company, the organization.
Right. And then, of course, the end goal, the key to your success is the productivity of your team and your employees. So this can help explain that.
Yeah, and then really with the new managers to really get somebody to a great start, feeling that they are successful with the employees.
Mm-hmm.
Again, thinking about myself, I felt a little bit intimidated because some of my employees were quite a bit older than I was, and I felt I didn't have the experience and I lacked the, I guess, credibility, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And then finding very quickly that I did not know how to deal with different kind of employees and I'm feeling frustrated. And more importantly, I felt that my employees didn't feel that I was being a good leader. And that, I think, hurt my self-confidence. But eventually I learned it. Helping new managers to get that first, the confidence, self-awareness, understanding who they are,
Mm-hmm.
I think it provides that person integrity, because people appreciate others who are comfortable in their own skin.
Absolutely.
They're genuine and people will trust those individuals.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get new leaders to a good start with a tool like Extended Disk, they're going to be successful so much quicker.
So Markku, let's just talk about a few of examples of some tools that are available. Now, of course, we have a lot of tools that are available to you, very specific to, if Markku was working in a bank, we would have a specific, maybe a bank manager's tool.
Right.
So, right. But we're going to start off with the individual tool first. And the one I'm just going to put up on the screen is called the manager's assessment. However, we also have the leadership assessment.
Yeah, I think this really comes down to what the clients prefer, what kind of information they want to get. And of course, you can always start with the individual assessment.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of gives you the baseline, if you will. And then tools like the manager assessment or leadership assessment, we can provide more specific information that may be more relevant to a new manager.
Right, so I just pulled a couple examples from the report itself so you can see how it works. So these are behavioral competences, and for those of you that are used to using our tool, this is probably going to be very familiar to you. So these specific competence or behaviors are specific to management. And in this case, you can see the first one is called achieving results through and with people. And where this individual falls is kind of somewhere in the middle, or kind of more to the left, the not natural side.
That's right. And if I'm this manager, if I'm Steven, I probably want to be very aware of that, because as a manager, you really are achieving results through people. So this might be something I want to pay close attention to.
And then there's another one, and I'm sorry, I picked two negatives today on the negative side, but remember, the negative does not mean good or bad. These, if your natural style falls to the negative half, it just simply means that is a behavior that tends to take more energy and concentration from you.
That's right. In fact, when somebody begins to consciously pay attention to that, they can be very good at it because they're not autopiloting. They are modifying their behavior very consciously. And when we're conscious about what we are doing, essentially we're very mindful, and we can be very, very good at that behavior.
Yeah, so let me skip to the second one, where this person actively connecting people with each other. This person scores a 5, which means that this person is very comfortable with this behavior. However, we just say, as with all of our strengths, we just need to be careful not to overuse it, that you don't focus so much on connecting people that you lose track of the task.
Yeah, the overused strength may become a weakness.
Exactly. So what's great about this report is not only does it show how your natural style tends to show up as a leader, but also gives you suggestions based on your natural style on how to be more successful as a manager.
Yeah, we get a lot of good feedback about this, because ultimately what people want to often hear is, tell me specifically what I can do to become more successful. And these kind of bullet points in this short example that we have with this webinar today provides exactly that. These are the kind of things you can do to become more successful.
And just remember, with our assessments, I always say, even with the tips themselves, they tend to be what we call strong and powerful statements. It's the design of it is to get you to think about it.
Yeah, modifying behavior is difficult, and as human beings, changing who we are and modifying behavior takes a lot of efforts. In order for that to happen, we need to provide specific information, essentially, to move the needle.
Right. So, and just again, some examples here. So these are, again, specific to this person's natural style. A reminder for this person might be always allow enough time for people to adjust to new ideas or doing things, and things that this person might try to avoid doing, which comes naturally to them, is try not to change existing solutions that work. So, this person's probably a D, just based on the comments. They like to, move on, get things done, move on to other things, but not everyone's like that.
Yeah, and what we talked about in other webinars, that these styles, one of the challenges that they need to overcome is that they are moving so quickly and others are not, and they can become impatient and frustrated, and that may either cause them to kind of blow up, or they might decide to change direction. They think, hey, this is not working, so I need to do something else. When they realize that in order for the D style to achieve their goals, sometimes they just need to slow down just a little bit, understand that it may take a little bit longer to achieve those results. So if they stick with it, actually often they can accomplish those goals that they strive for.
So this is just a quick intro to the manager's assessment. If you'd like to see a copy of it, we have samples. I just wanted to show you also another tool that we have, which is the team assessment. What's great about the team assessment? There's no additional questionnaire for your employee. And what it does is it helps explain how your employees are similar and different. It helps to identify your team's strengths and also areas that you may need to develop for your team.
Yeah, and it provides very quick glance of who you have in your team, what your in my case, it would have been what my branch looks like, and would have given me a very clear understanding of what are our strengths, what are our development areas, what are the team dynamics, but probably most importantly, how do I lead this team most effectively?
Right. So, again, it's just clear, like it reminds you, if you're Cindy, who's a D style, maybe pick up the pace. Whereas Sally, who's an S style, maybe slow down, build rapport, check in, give support.
Yeah, if I'm a manager and I'm dealing with Cindy and Sally, I need to modify my style quite differently when I'm dealing with those two individuals because their styles are so different.
Mm-hmm.
So what works with Cindy is not going to work with Sally and vice versa. But when I have the power of the information of what do I need to do in terms of modifying my communication style, maybe how I develop these different employees, it really is going to make the end results obviously much more successful. But more importantly, these two employees are going to realize that, hey, this manager is really doing his or her best to make sure that I succeed as well.
Exactly. And then there is just another quick report, part of the report of the team report I want to show you. It just gives you these clear descriptors of each of your team members so you can see how similar and how different they are from you.
Yeah, essentially it's a manager's playbook. This is how I lead my team and my different styles of employees.
Exactly. The last one, boy, the time just goes by, is the work pair assessment. And what I love about the work pair assessment is it is a dialogue tool, because I always say, how often do you have the opportunity to say, hey, as a manager, I want you to know how I prefer to communicate. I want to understand how you communicate. So it's a great dialogue tool.
It really is, and I think what it most importantly does with new employees is that when a new employee is coming on board, if the manager takes the time to review this information, it's a fantastic way to create that trust. The manager is actually saying, this is who I am,
Mm-hmm.
These are my strengths,
Exactly.
These are the things I'm working on. When manager does that, it's very disarming, and the new employee will say, this manager really is open with me, so that bond and trust that you build is incredible.
Or I coming in as a new manager saying, I'm putting myself out there, and you're creating that bond.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and so just a couple tips that we wanted to give you guys as a new manager to get you off to a good start. How do you reinforce DISC? DISC is not something you do in a vacuum. The more that you can spread the language of DISC, the more successful DISC works for you. So this is one great way. You can just post, if everyone's comfortable and agrees to it, just put this in your office, show where all the DISC styles of your team are. Number one, it's a great reminder for you, but also it clearly sends a message, right?
The message is that, hey, we are different, we value our differences. And it also, I think most importantly, creates a clear message to employees that this is important to all of us. If we want to be successful, we need to understand how we are different. And most importantly, how do we actually modify our behaviors to become more successful?
So post it in a visible place, and also practice using the language of DISC. Use it frequently and use it consistently. Whether you're in a meeting, or make sure you ask as a follow-up, hey, what was the style of that client? Practice using the language of DISC.
Yeah, when you ask that question as a manager, it will become part of your culture.
So the final just takeaway from this is, DISC itself cannot predict your success. However, what we do know is the most successful managers, regardless of their experience and skill set, so even you new managers out there, all have a keen sense of self-awareness. You've learned or know the style of your employees, and you're able to modify your styles to manage them more effectively.
Yeah, with new managers, this speeds up the process of helping them become more successful. And of course, everybody's going to win when that happens.
Exactly. So thank you guys for joining us. Like I said, we have a lot of resources for you, so reach out and contact us. We have another webinar coming up called Identifying Styles of Others. It's a 1-hour webinar. You can find that webinar as well as information about other webinars and resources on our extendeddisc.org website under the events tab as well.
That's where it all happens.
All right. Thanks, everybody.